All right, now I'm going to start moving very fast. This is, remember, this presentation is just going to give you the direct links to everything that I just talked about. I like to back up what I say with official charts. So here's the federal Pell Grant. Maximum award is $6,345. Here is the federal work study and the notation. Here is the direct subsidized student loan offering up to $5,500 with an interest rate of 2.75. And then here is the unsubsidized student loan information. Please be careful about accruing $20,000 per year over the course of 4 years. You'll be leaving with upwards of $80,000 in student loans. Not good. Okay, this right here is verifying what I was talking about, that if you are a family that's somewhere under $49,999 in general, you will be eligible for a part of the Pell Grant. But I want to let families know that you're more than likely going to be eligible for full Pell Grant if you note on your application that you have any number of these government-sponsored programs, which could be things like Medicaid, SSI, the food program called SNAP, free and reduced school lunch program, TANF program, or WIC. Also want to let families know that there is a term called your zero expected family contribution. I get this question a lot. Can the family say, can you please tell me, when can I be really, really sure that I'm just going to be able to access every type of grant out there at the full maximum award? And here is your answer. As a matter of fact, I found the most current link, which is up to $27,000. So if your income, and it's linked right here to this slide, but if your income is $27,000 or less, then you qualify for an automatic zero expected family contribution. And that means that you will receive full Pell, work study, Cal Grant, EOPS, and everything. So just to let families know about that parameter. I also wanted to let families know that I used that FAFSA forecaster. And when we did the practice run through there, I went ahead and plugged in the highest threshold, which was $78,000. What I wanted to let you know is that when you run this calculator, anytime that your EFC number, your expected family contribution number, is at or below $5,711, then you're going to be eligible for that Pell Grant on a gradient attrition down schedule. So just pay attention to that. You're looking for an EFC number after you go through this FAFSA forecaster calculator. If you're over an EFC of $5,712, then that's when that Pell Grant drops off. And that generally happens, I did the calculations on that, it generally happens at around $60,000. That's when it generally drops off in terms of Pell. But remember, the state of California has still got some aid for you. So these are just, another practice run through. This time I plugged in, hey, how much Pell would I get if my income was $49,999? Let me take you there. Your Pell Grant would be $2,845. See, so it's not the full amount of the Pell, which was up over $6,000, but it's something. So you can see as the income goes higher, the Pell Grant will go lower until it completely goes to zero. So I did some numbers. Here's one for $59,999. Like I said, when you start getting up here at around 60,000, that's when the Pell just drops off. So the EFC on this one for $59,999, your EFC is close to that mark that I let you know. So this EFC is $5,443, and your Pell award is only $745. That's what the calculator says. And again, here is the chart. I've linked it here to this slide. You can clearly see the EFC numbers up here and when it drops to 0. So you can clearly see this column over here is your cost of attendance. And with the CSU system, we're looking at something over 5,742, which would be down here at this column. When you follow the chart over to 5,712 expected family contribution, you get 0. So you can actually use this chart if you don't feel like doing an electronic calculation. You can use the chart to find out exactly how much your Pell will be. And if you want to use the paper booklet, I've linked that here as well. So this links to the paper-based application for federal student aid on the FAFSA. So you can use the walkthrough booklet to get even more exacting. And I'm going to be wrapping up on the Cal Grant. So I just thought that this was interesting, how California calculates your student expense budget. So remember, I shared with you the charts for the 4-year California Public University systems, and you can refer back to those for the actual tuition and fees. But apparently the state of California says that students generally spend about $1,125 per year on books and supplies. Generally, they spend about $1,000 per month on food. Generally, if they're living off campus, trying to house up with other students, this might be their approximate share of the housing cost. This is a transportation row right here, generally how much transportation depending upon your situation. And then for personal and miscellaneous items, they are estimating, and this was all put together by a California student survey. So I thought that that was just interesting to help families kind of prepare what their total budget might be. And then just to remind folks that when you click on this slide right here, it will direct you to an exact chart that shows you exactly which schools and educational institutions are approved by the California Student Aid Commission. Okay, under the California Student Aid Commission, there are a number of other opportunities for grants, as I discussed at the beginning. Those would be things like foster youth. If you are a foster youth after the age of 13, you're applying to college, you will be eligible for all types of financial aid. Okay, so just check of that box in your FAFSA and you're pretty much good to go. If you are a student who now has their own dependents, you are going to be eligible for a number of other access grants. If you're thinking about going into the services, you possibly would be eligible for a GI Bill award under the military. If you're thinking about going into teaching, there is a Golden State Teacher Grant that you would be able to access. And if you are a child of law enforcement personnel, then you also have an opportunity for another grant. And then I just wanted to let families know that I went ahead and I've included the charts to show you some history. This one's from 2018, 2019. It used to be, and everything is pretty much the same on these charts, except I'm going to point out this. It used to be that the California system would give UC students $12,630 if they expressed financial need. But the following year later, in 2019, 2020, that went down just a little bit to $12,570. And then the chart stays the same for this current school year, 2020, 2021. So you can always see the school year right up here. These go in columns, so column A, column B, column C. For the most part, we hang out generally in column A, column C. You can see all of the requirements and guidelines that are listed up here at the top. You need to have a 3.0 GPA. You need to apply for the FAFSA or your California DREAM Act. You need to be on a pathway program for at least either 2 years for associate or 4 year for baccalaureate. You must define a path that you're going to be on. There are income eligibility limits, as we discussed. And then it talks about a breakdown of the offerings per system, which is here. And California community colleges and non CCCs, which would be apprenticeship programs, are over here on this side. So if you're curious about that, there's your resource. And then here are the official income ceiling guidelines. I thought it was kind of fun to leave 2019, 2020, and then move forward from there. So you can see back in 2019, for that family of 4, they said that incomes were capped at $102,500. And then in the 2020-2021 school year, incomes on a family of 4 are capped at $106,500. And I was able to get a hold of next year's chart. So looking forward, 2021-2022, for a family of 4, the income cap is $110,400, just for your reference. And then you'll see asset ceilings over here. To let families know, your personal house is not considered an asset. They're just looking for things like cash and savings on hand. Okay, so please be careful about what you claim as an asset. The home you live in is not counted as part of the assets. Again, I think I showed this chart for you for the CSU system, getting an award of $5,742. The income guideline was up to $78,250. I wanted to share with you a chart that I went ahead and made. And this is to show you how it can attrition down. So I went to that threshold at $78,250 to obtain that full Cal Grant award for the CSU system. And what I did is I used the income ceiling guideline all the way to $106,500. And if your income falls onto this chart in, an area close to one of these digits here, then you can kind of estimate what you might see in terms of your Cal Grant offering over here. And I did this with the help of some charts and calculators. For the University of California system, remember they have the gold and blue opportunity. So on that financial aid package, whenever you see the University of California system, you'll see some of those funds wrapped into the Cal Grant offering. So don't be worried when you see this drop down to $44,339 as your income threshold. Okay. That would be for the University of California, because they're going to go ahead and access a little bit of the Cal Grant, but then they're going to pick up the rest with that university grant under the blue and gold opportunity. And so what I did is I took the guidelines there directly from the guidebook at $44,389, receiving the full Cal Grant Opportunity Award, and what that looks like when it attritions down to reach that income guideline of $106,000. That's the ceiling. Once you reach that ceiling, then the Cal Grant generally drops off. Also, just to remind folks that what they usually do is they take your full cost of attendance. So they take that whole thing, including the expenses that you put in for your housing, your meal plan, transportation. They take the whole package. They subtract out your EFC, which we just discussed what make up those components. And then they also look at your unmet financial need, and they kind of gauge how much can this family really pick up on that leftover bit, and how much more in terms of university grant could this family use. So if you're interested in looking at this video, it is 36 minutes long, but it is a good one.